You know what's crazy, Noah?
What's that, E?
Art Modell continues to screw the Browns from beyond the grave. Art Modell once again sticking it to the Browns. We're going to tell you exactly how that is, especially considering the man's dead. But first, we have a couple live shows coming up that we're really excited about. This Sunday, we're going to be live from Slim and Jumbo's in Garrettsville, Ohio. Bit of a drive from our Cleveland listeners, but they're doing the dog walk. It's an official Browns backers bar out there, back by where I grew up. So we'll be going live. We have some giveaways. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then the following weekend, we're back in Muni lot. I know Noah and I had a lot of fun this past weekend at Muni. So we're excited to be back there. Find us at the Kennel. That's the big bus with the face mask on it right in the front of Muni. We'll be going live. And Noah, speaking of giveaways, we have a big giveaway going on.
We do. For all of our listeners at home, or if you come to any of our live shows and come chop it up with us, we are giving away a Cleveland Browns jersey of your choice. You pick the player. All you have to do is subscribe to At the Office here on YouTube and leave a comment on a recent video, and you'll be entered to win. Drawing will be drawn on 1 October 1st.
That's right. It's coming up. Come find us. Come to Muni. You can follow us right there. You could say hi and give your prediction. Talk about your favorite moment from Muni or what's your favorite thing about Muni. We had some wild answers last week, but it's a good time. So find us, follow us, and just we'll let you know where we're at.
Yeah, we will let you know we're at. And I mean, you're getting the opportunity to jump on a live mic and talk a little Cleveland Browns. I mean, how can you beat that? And you're getting entered to win a free jersey. I don't know, man. That sounds like heaven to me.
It does indeed. Brown's schedule doesn't get easier either. We have Ravens, then
No, it doesn't.
Packers, but we'll talk about that later this week. For now, we're talking Art Modell and how he continues to screw the Browns from beyond the grave. I'm referring to the fact that in our game this week against the Ravens, which is at Baltimore, they're celebrating 30 years since the Browns became the Baltimore Ravens in that infamous move when Art Modell, the former Browns owner, moved the team to Baltimore in the middle of the night. What a dick move. I'm just going to be honest. What a dick move to schedule that celebration when the Browns are in town. Clearly, that's on purpose.
Oh, it's 100% on purpose. I can picture the marketing team or whatever name they gave that team in Baltimore sitting there talking about this and thinking, it would be really funny to mess with them. It's frustrating because of the history that is there and the fact that they've won Super Bowls and the fact that we have been so, I can't even say up and down, just down and then have had
Yeah.
like two bright spots. It's frustrating.
One
I
playoff
just
win.
hate it. One playoff win. What else are you thinking about this, man?
Yeah, like I said, clearly done on purpose, and it just shows that the organization has no class. That's this real sad thing here because you didn't need to do it this way. You could celebrate your team without trying to put down the lovable Browns. I mean, why are you going to put down a team that's constantly down on themselves anyway? It's bullshit in my opinion. To be frank, they just didn't need to do it this way. And they're kind of a poverty franchise, in my opinion. Yes, they have that Super Bowl win, but they have a team that consistently excels throughout the regular season and then does nothing in the playoffs. So maybe this is their way of blowing off some steam because they're not going to win a Super Bowl once again this year.
I just don't get the mindset of kicking the dog when it's down, or kicking the person when it's down. I don't know why I said dog. I guess dog pound, so it still
Right.
counts. Um, we're not in a year where we're expected to compete. I mean, we're having fun with it by all means. The Bengals game was fun despite the loss. Joe Flacco was back. We got to see some young guys play some great football. But
Yeah.
like out of all the games you could have scheduled, and I know they have some other things scheduled for AFC North based games, but you pick the one that is celebrating a city losing their team, something you have went through before, whether the people that are in that room were alive for it or not. We're talking about the Colts.
Colts. Yeah.
It's boggling. It's classless, and I don't want to beat the dead horse of saying it's classless, but that's what it is. It feels. an extra level of disrespectful that doesn't always jive even in the AFC North. There's got to be some sportsmanship here, right?
Yeah, listen, how great would it be if we could go into Baltimore and absolutely belt to ass put it to them? I'll say after watching Baltimore against the Bills, I know they lost, but I don't think that's going to be the case. We'll see. It's a good test. We've talked about how good the defense looked in Week 1, so this will be a really good test to see if this defense is the real deal. And I got to say, dealing with both Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry in that backfield, that's not an easy task. But how great would it be to go in there and ruin that celebration? And if Coach Stefanski isn't using this as fodder for this game, listen, the guys don't need that. The NFL guys are professionals. They don't need the taped up remarks of another coach, et cetera, that you see in college a lot of the time. Because if they're not motivated for this game, then they shouldn't be on the team, frankly. But if Stefanski isn't trying to drive that point home even more, that they're trying to make a mockery out of you, uh, I just I don't know. I hope that's what he's doing, and I hope our guys are ready.
I don't even know if that needs to be a Kevin Stefanski talking point for the week, whether he brings it up today at team meetings or whenever, just one time. We don't have to talk about it. The fact that you are being made fun of by a division rival that is currently favored, I think the books, I know this isn't our pre-game show yet, but I think the books have us getting 11 and a half points right now, and that doesn't light a fire under your ass as a competitor, I don't know what will. Because if I saw that from a rival, I'm going out there balls to the wall, doing everything and then some that I can do to beat that team. Uh, I know Baltimore is going to go into this game pissed off because of their loss to the Bills, like you mentioned, but
Yeah.
my bold prediction is feeling good about the Browns in this game. And I was not feeling like that 24 hours ago until I saw this announcement.
I'm hoping that they have a little post Bills hangover, instead of just coming out on like world beaters because they're pissed. That said, the early line being less than 2 touchdowns, I think, is a good sign for us because prior to the season starting, I'm not sure that that would have been the case. I think they would have probably made that margin a bit larger than it is. Um, so we'll see. Like you said, this isn't the show where we're talking that game. I do want to talk though about the Browns being potential Super Bowl contenders. I can't even say that with a straight face.
Yeah, this is a really interesting take I've heard throughout the week, and I'm glad we're bringing it up. This kind of reaction show is fun to have. Don't you
Yeah.
agree?
Yeah, I love it.
Let's see what one Aditi Kekobwala had to say on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show earlier this week.
Okay, I mean, did you see the Steelers defense? Because they looked awful. What
The
Justin
Steelers can't
Fields
win the
did, what
Super Bowl
Justin Fields
either.
did to the Steelers
You can't
defense.
you can't win a Super Bowl without a good quarterback. We know this.
Okay, so why? So you start the
Yeah.
conversation by saying that the Browns receivers didn't do any favors to Joe
I didn't say
Flacco.
that. G
There
said
was
that.
no run
I
game.
said that.
Yeah.
All right, the panel.
Yeah.
The panel. Look, the Browns receivers didn't do any favors to Joe Flacco. There was no run game to speak of, and the line wasn't quite as good as we expected it to be. So why are you sitting here and saying it's only on Joe Flacco? Joe Flacco's still throwing that he can.
I'm not.
Still showing that he can throw the ball and that he can place the ball accurately, and he's still got a lot of juice on that ball. So it sort of feels to me like you're just trying to find little scapegoats as opposed to wait a minute. The game of football is about a bunch of puzzle pieces that fit together. It's not only on Joe Flacco here.
I know that. I'm not blaming Joe Flacco at all. I blame him 0% for the Browns losing this game. I'm just saying I'm living in reality. You're not going to win a Super Bowl with Joe Flacco as quarterback. You can't do that. It's not realistic at this point in
All
his
right,
career.
I'm not. You know what? I don't feel that way right now.
You
I
think they could
that
win
you
a
need
Super
some
Bowl?
help. I think if he can get some help,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I don't see any, there are only, let's be honest, there are only 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the entire National Football League that are putting an entire team on their shoulder and making everybody better.
I'm assuming she's referring mainly to Patrick Mahomes and uh maybe Josh Allen there at the end. Uh, I like Aditi. There's a lot to break down there, first of all.
Yeah, there's a bunch to break down there. I love Aditi. I think she does great work, so I don't want this to come
Agreed.
as an attack to her whatsoever. Um, but I wanted to start my take with this. I am a big fan of parity in the NFL. I think it is a tried and true positive for the NFL and why it's my favorite league, my favorite sport to watch.
Yeah, it sets it
All
apart for sure.
all of that being said, Eric, the Browns are currently plus 25,000 odds to win the Super Bowl right now, ahead of only the New Orleans Saints.
I'd put $5 on that.
Well, go ahead and make sure you tell FanDuel you love them because they just took $5 out of your pocket while they did that. I love the confidence. I think we saw so many great things from the Cleveland Browns offense and the defense. Some negatives too. We've talked about that. Go check out our Bengals review episode that came out on Monday. But to sit on a show with a straight face and say, I don't feel that they can't win a Super Bowl yet, even for me, Mr.
Well,
Optimist.
hold on, because I think you're stretching her words a little bit. She said very specifically in the beginning, the offensive line wasn't as good as we expected. The run game wasn't very good. The receivers did no favors. She said we're pieces away. She didn't say this year we could win a Super Bowl, but she said Joe Flacco, what she was getting at, in my opinion, is that Flacco could lead this team to a Super Bowl. The words, it gets jumbled up with the rest of the message there, but she's saying that Flacco could be a Super Bowl winning quarterback still. And I think that's the key interpretation here because I don't
Do you
necessarily disagree
you
with
ag-
that take.
you agree with that? At
Here's the
40?
thing. I watched Peyton Manning throw a football that it was thrown up into the air and it was like from Wolf of Wall Street, fairy dust. Like the ball just did nothing when it left his hands when he was in Denver and he won a Super Bowl that year. And he won it because of the defense. And I think that's what she's getting at. Joe Flacco still looks good enough in a way, like he still has good timing. He still has some zip on the ball, like she mentioned. He's placing it pretty accurately. We've talked about this before. He doesn't have to go out and throw for 350 yards every game to be an effective quarterback. So, could he go out there and play well enough to be a contender? I think the answer is yes. I don't disagree with her there.
Eric, we're talking about a guy, and I'm going to sound so negative here because I love Joe Flacco. I love the
Sure.
choice of starting him this season. So I want to put that all to the side before I get hate for this. But he hasn't played a full season since 2017, Eric. Like, we're talking about the Super Bowl. That's more weeks added on. He hasn't played a full regular season.
Again, I'm going to point to Peyton Manning in this example. He also dealt with injuries that year. Listen, I think you're stretching her words still. This team, the team, it's a team sport,
Yeah,
is not a Super Bowl contending team. She's making that pretty clear. She's saying, though, that Flacco could be, if the right pieces were in place, he's not the liability in this case. And I don't disagree there. I don't think he's the liability.
I get that on what you're saying. I think this is looking at it in a glass half full, glass half empty type of situation. And I'm feeling half empty right now, and you're feeling half full. What I mean by that is the fact that what Bull said, honestly, Adam was talking about how you need good quarterback, you need a great quarterback to win a Super Bowl. You're using one example of Peyton Manning, uh, mind you, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Whether you believe that, don't need to
Yeah, I
have that
agree.
debate too.
He wasn't that year, but I agree.
In general, one of the greatest. Joe Flacco has never been put in that name stake. He's not on the Mount Rushmore. He's
Yeah,
not
he's
there.
not Brady. He's not. Yeah, I get it.
Even with this roster, say we add four great pieces next year. We add a receiver, we add another tackle. Our offensive line is getting better push than what I saw in the All 22 film this past week from the Bengals game. I still don't know if Joe Flacco gets you to that Super Bowl because you're talking about the health, you're talking about the age, you're talking about the turnover problems that are very abundant with him. I'm not blaming the turnovers from the Bengals game on him. Again, go watch our
Yeah,
Bengals
neither
video
one
if you
was
want to.
his fault, yeah.
Yeah. But I just don't think it's there for a Super Bowl. I hope I'm wrong. I
Well,
would
tell me
love to be
this,
wrong.
a guy that went to the Super Bowl, Joe Burrow, you consider him to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league, right?
Yeah.
We just saw them held to less than 10 yards of offense in the second half. Whereas Joe Flacco put his team in the position to win. Andre Schmidt lost us that football game, plain and simple.
100%. Yeah,
And while we could
100%.
have done better in different areas of that game, Joe Flacco didn't lose us that football game. So I don't know where you go from he's a liability, age, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not saying he's going to be the guy next year because we're not talking next year. What Aditi's saying, in my opinion, and she can correct me if I'm wrong, what she's saying is that if we had all the pieces right now, we have the defense, our run game was better, our O line was better, Joe Flacco could be that guy. If we had, the rest of, I don't know, name the best team in the NFL right now. If we had all of the Packers, but plug Joe Flacco in there, he could be that guy. That sounds weird when I put it that way, actually, but you get what I'm saying.
Right. It does sound weird because he has. You're talking about one game. You're talking about the first regular season game of an NFL season, in my opinion, compared to having to have a full body of work, a full season of work, plus three at minimum playoff games. You're talking divisional.
Well,
Um,
but you were all about it when he was taking us to the playoffs,
yeah, he only played 5 games. He
and he
hasn't
looked
played a
like a
full season.
world beater in those 5 games.
And then what did he do in the playoffs, Eric?
Sure, he laid an egg, but I think that was more on everybody and not just him. We
He
were
threw
playing from
three.
behind
He
from the
threw
get.
2 pick sixes, 3
I know,
interceptions.
but you had to force the ball downfield. That's not his game. That's my point. That we had to force the ball downfield because we were playing from behind from the jump. I get what you're saying. Listen, I get what you're saying. What she's saying though is that there are only a handful. There are 2 guys in the league that you would consider that guy though. And what I saw over, let's just take this one weekend of work. I saw JJ McCarthy play lights out in a game that looks like he could be good. We know he's probably not the guy. I saw old man Rodgers look just fine in a Steelers uniform. The point is, Patrick Mahomes is likely the best quarterback in the league. He has been for a while, and yet he got the brakes beat off him in the Super Bowl. So what she's saying is he doesn't have to be the best player, the best quarterback in the league to be effective. He needs to, we've talked about these things. Don't turn the ball over. Be just effective enough. And those are things that he can do. Rely on your defense. If every other piece of this team was, if we had guys on the ground and our run game was just smashing, demolishing defenses, and he just has to do enough, he's probably good enough to be that guy.
I I still just don't know. And maybe this is a larger argument to be had of where that line cuts off. But I just don't know if you could truly feel in your heart of hearts that a 40-year-old Joe Flacco, who has not played a full regular season, who has had turnover problems even after looking good for a couple games. He has always notoriously had turnover problems. He could have a great 5 game stretch. We've seen it here in Cleveland. And then that turns into what? 2 pick sixes in the playoffs and and another interception. You can get into the semantics of what led to that. I just don't know if he's the guy at the end of the day. I think he's the guy for right now. I think he plugs the hole for the time being while you try to continue to develop Shador Sanders and Dylan Gabriel. But let's both be honest here, Eric. Do you think he's finishing the season? And I know her argument is different from this. Is he finishing the season?
But listen, I'm going to quote one of my favorite videos on the internet. If my mom had wheels, she'd be a bike. If, like, I can't predict if he's going to be hurt. Can he finish the season if he stays protected and doesn't take a bad hit? Maybe. I don't know. I don't think he's going to pull a hammy in the shower. So there's so many, like, tangibles, like, I didn't think Kittle was gonna get hurt, or else I wouldn't have drafted him for my fantasy league. That's the NFL. Like, I can't play that if game because that could happen to Mahomes, that could happen to literally anybody. Look at the, obviously all of the Achilles injuries, but Aaron Rodgers and his Achilles, like, you just don't know, right? So those are intangibles that I can't take into account with this argument because, yes, he's older. Does that mean he's more prone to injury? Maybe, but that's an if that just we have no idea. We can't It's a variable we can't control. Does he look like a quarterback though that could be the if he stays healthy, that's another if, but if he stays healthy, could he have a good season? Could he lead the Browns to the playoffs? If all the other elements surrounding him, those other 10 guys, could they be a playoff team? Could they be a winning team? I think that answers yes.
See, but we haven't seen that out of him. I'm looking at what's happened. You could talk about injury, but regardless of health, regardless of what's going on, he was notorious in New York for having a good 5 or 6 game stretch. We saw it. He rallied back and beat us in a 2 minute drill
Mhm.
when he was on the Jets. Having that good 5 or 6 game stretch, like I said, and then falling off a cliff and just
It
not
that
having it
happens.
anymore.
We thought Anthony Richardson was gonna be the next great quarterback. We just don't know is
You
the
might have
point.
first of all, you might have thought that. I did
Well,
not
I'm not
have
saying
much
I
faith
did,
in
but
that kid, but that is neither here nor there. Um, I don't know, man. I think her heart was in a good place with the take. I agree with the sentiment of you never know what you have in a quarterback and you never know what you have in a team. It's a team sport. I think that's all there. I just think using Joe Flacco, the quarterback Joe Flacco in 2025 at age 40, almost 41, is not the example to drive home the point of you don't need Patrick Mahomes to win a Super Bowl.
I don't know. I agree with her take. I mean, there's gonna be fall off. There was fall off with Manning. There was a little bit of fall off with Brady, not a ton, but they adjusted the route certainly in the kinds of balls he was throwing, and yet they both won a Super Bowl towards the end of their career. I know Joe
You're
Flacco is not
talking about two of
either
the
of those
greatest
guys. I get it.
quarterbacks.
I get it. But so far in one body of work, he looked just fine to me.
He
He looked
did.
better than a lot of the young guys playing on Sunday.
Well, who was the only young guy that really truly played was, well, I guess if you're talking second or third years, that's neither here nor there. Yes, he looked like a veteran who started an NFL game and has started plenty of NFL games before. But you and I both know at some point this season, we're going to see Dylan Gabriel start. You and I both have a decent feeling, despite some reports, that we're going to see Shador Sanders step on the field at some point for this Cleveland Browns team. So let's not fool ourselves about what we have going on right now. Let's just enjoy the season. Let's not talk Super Bowl, Super Browns. Let's not put ourselves in all of these stupid bubbles
Well,
because big
real
name beat
quick,
reporters said so.
while you're saying that, so obviously we had that 1 point loss to the Bengals, and now we have the Ravens followed by the Packers. Do we start 0-3?
You could. Yeah,
Your
I don't
prediction, do
know.
we?
1 and 2. I think they sneak one of the next two. I thought they were sneaking the Bengals for sure, even before I was at the game or watching the game. So I
Not
could
even a
see one
damn
and two still.
sneak. I mean, they beat the Bengals for 4 quarters. They just
Yeah, you know
couldn't
what I mean,
finish.
though. I
Yeah.
thought they were gonna take that one even though we weren't favored. We're not favored in any of these matchups. I don't think we're favored until we play Tennessee in November or December.
Yeah, I mean, they are clearly the worst team in the league.
The Saints are worse.
Yeah, I mean, it's those 2 are the basement dwellers for sure.
Yep,
Um,
it's just the 3 of us down there. It's okay.
Good thing that you can't get relegated like in, soccer.
Well, you're the only one I guarantee that is thinking that way watching this show right now.
Listen, I like Aditi's take, and if I'm gonna take a take between her and the bull, I'm probably taking her take 100% of the time. So I like it. I don't mind it at all.
There's a lot left to be desired. I'll leave it at that for me. But Aditi is still awesome at her job and probably one of my favorite reporters in the game right now. So don't want to take that away from her by any type of means.
Fair enough. All right, guys, make sure you're watching the next couple days because we're going to preview the Ohio State game against Ohio. I don't know what we're going to talk about because we both know Ohio State's going to win that game. It'll be fun, though. We have a few things. And then we're going to, of course, preview the Browns versus the Ravens this week, where we'll be broadcasting live before that game. But I'm looking forward to it. So make sure you check those videos out the rest of the week.
Yeah, for sure. Uh, it's always fun over here at the office, man. It always is.
Always. All right. Well, the debate never ends, but the show does for now. We'll see you next time.